Pets Life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit petslife.ie.
For a Wednesday morning, a very good morning to you, and a very good morning to our main man. That's Des. How you doing, Des?
Yeah, good, John. Not a bother. Good to be here.
It's the eve of Halloween.
Yeah,
and it's already
indeed.
started.
It has.
Yeah.
Kids are not knocking on doors, but there's a lot of fireworks, bangers around the areas.
Yeah. And I heard Owen mention it earlier on. Look, I mean, it's more. It seems to be more about fireworks than ever before.
Yeah, it is. There's lots of them around the busy areas. Yeah,
especially
Kildare town now is becoming built up. We've a lot of new housing estates, so we're conscious of that, all the time.
And that leads to the problems that we know about, but we might as well reiterate it again because it is the day beforehand and it's all about minding your animals and bringing them in. But in a funny sort of weird way, this might sound really weird. Dogs are stressed out inside as well as outside.
They're stressed out inside as well as outside. So if they can see and hear commotion in the neighbourhood from indoors, the same as outdoors, it has just as much of a stressful effect on them as anything else. So, for example, tonight now and tomorrow night, while there is that disruption, get the dogs out for a walk earlier in the day. Tire them out, have the exercise over and done with in the morning, let them settle in the evenings, settle into their beds, have their crates ready, their baskets ready, their comfortable toys ready. Keep them indoors. Yeah,
and I suppose the other one is, if dogs are used to being... Dogs like have their own basket, they like settling in their own basket, but in the day that's in it, or the night that's going to be in it, if they want to stay close by to the family, let them, I suppose.
Bring the dog upstairs if he wants to come upstairs.
I mean, just for that night.
Just for that night.
Because, I mean, they're going to get stressed out anyway, aren't they?
Just for that night. They will get stressed out by the noise, by the fireworks, which brings me again to the calming products we can use. It's not too late. If you do need to pop into the vets, if it occurs to you, right, I see a big bonfire on the green, not too far from my house. I want to keep the dog calm now, tonight and tomorrow. Do pop into the vets. There are medical options available. First level would be the nutritional supports like Nutravet. These are the B vitamins that have a calming effect, and the amino acids. Second level of support would be the very, very mild calming products like Xanax or Valium. And then you have more serious, more effective calming supports such as Trazodone, Gabapentin, and long term, if you have an anxious dog, of course, it's worth reiterating again, we have a game-changing, groundbreaking new drug, Reconcile, for stress in dogs and for behavioural difficulties, and it's making a very positive improvement and making a very big difference to many dogs' lives. Yeah,
I mean, that's the one thing that we have noticed is that dogs do get stressed out more. They seem to be more highly strung as well, do they?
Now, look, maybe there's a little bit too many of the cockapoo types out there. The fluffy white dogs, I'm afraid, that are a mix of a few breeds that are already highly strung. It's not the most ideal breed, the cockapoo, from a behavioural point of view, you know. And so many of our little dogs out there now are mixes between poodles and cocker spaniels. So a mix between a poodle, a mix between a Bichon, a mix of a spaniel, something like that. Not always not always the best cross, because you're mixing two breeds that are highly strung. So we do find that a lot of the modern fluffy white types of dog are anxious. And they have particular needs, which is around being around people more, being in the middle of social activities, being involved in things, not being left on their own for too long. And they need to be exercised little and often. And oftentimes they end up in houses where the lifestyle and the routine in the house isn't suitable for them in terms of the amount of attention they need. So if your dog is in that situation like that, there are a couple of options for you to consider with regards to making your dog's quality of life a little bit better. Find a local daycare facility and make sure he gets into a doggy daycare place like Gym Dog a few days a week to mix and socialise and exercise enough and be tired. And failing that, if that's not possible or that doesn't work, then do consider the calming products like the Nutravet or the Reconcile, even long term.
Okay, already quick question in. Des, just you mentioned a few moments ago back about the dogs that are highly strung. What about the dogs that are least highly strung?
Is that listener asking for suggestions about which types of dogs are less highly strung?
Yes.
Well,
I find the other end of
the other end of the spectrum, I find Labradors be very chilled, very sensible.
Retrievers are
calmer
really good
types of dogs. Retrievers can be a bit hyper and have a high drive. early in life, but they become very settled and very calm and very sensible as they get older. Boxers, the same, they become sensible as they get older. We have a lovely Labrador German Shepherd mix called Eric, and he's kind of my son's Tom's dog, and he's a lovely, calm, sensible dog. He was a bit hyper for the first year of his life. Neutering, find, is a big thing if you have a very active younger male dog of a larger breed like that. They get very settled and calm after being neutered.
Yeah, Maura's on. She says, we have 2 red setters. They have been absolutely barmy and like mad as a bag of frogs for the first couple of years. Subsequently, now they've calmed, they've relaxed, they get on great together, they're part of the family, and now they're just chilled and enjoying life.
Yeah, good. That's great.
Red setters are fabulous dog.
Red setter's fabulous dog. They're a sight hound. They're descended from a hunting dog originally, but being that type of a sight hound, they like to exercise in short bursts. Yeah. And then they're tired. Other sight hounds that are kind of similar in their origin to the red setter, greyhounds obviously, and lurchers.
Lurcher, you mentioned lurchers before.
Yeah, a lurcher is a kind of a slang
small
term, an old-fashioned term
like a mini
for
greyhound, is it?
Yeah, they're a mix between several different hounds. They could be a greyhound mixed with an Irish wolfhound, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's one type of lurcher. A greyhound mixed with a whippet is another type of lurcher. Or a greyhound mixed with a collie is another type of lurcher. These are sight hounds that are descended from working breeds, and they can be used by certain sections of the community as hunting dogs to this day still, and they're very good at that. But they're equally adaptable as lovely family pets because their exercise and their energy needs are a little bit unusual in that they want a couple of short, sharp runs for a few minutes, 2 or 3 times a day, and then they'll sleep and chill and socialise and mix and be great company for the rest of the day.
Brilliant. You're not the only vet who said that. So I've heard that on TV, some of the TV vets, and they talk about the lurchers. They're absolutely fabulous for people, young animals or young children.
Yeah. Now remember as well, vets like them because they're a lovely, gentle dog to work with.
And so that means that's obviously the key thing. If you're able to work with them and you're able to pass on that information.
Right. They're very predictable and they're soft. They're very gentle, even though they are a hunting
But they
dog,
also seem to be, on the other side of things, you often see them coming up on some of the websites. They always seem to be available. They're
always available because they're bred in large numbers for hunting.
Right, okay.
So, and then if they retire from hunting or pick up an injury or they're not very good at it, then they basically become recycled into the rescue centres,
right,
and available for rehoming. So I love to promote the fact that you do have a surplus of these hunting type, lurcher type and greyhound type dogs around the place that started off in life as being bred in a halting site or in a backyard for hunting, and later on then they're available for rehoming, and they make lovely pets. Even if we don't know exactly what happened in the early part of their lives, they're easy enough to assess on a temperament level, and generally they do make lovely pets. Only thing about them is they don't like cats.
Okay, right. So no matter how they don't like cats, even if they're introduced to the family from the very beginning.
Maybe from the very beginning.
That could be just the hunting instinct.
It's the hunting instinct. Anything that moves quickly and runs away from them, they'll chase it.
I like that one. Right, here we go. Laura was on. She says, I have 2 lurchers here, John. One is mixed with a Saluki.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Okay, and one is mixed with separate.
A setter?
A setter, maybe that's what it is, mixed with a setter.
A red setter crossed with a greyhound would be a lovely, colourful type of a lurcher, and would be very fast and slim and fit. Yeah. And the Saluki is a similar type.
Sorry, shepherd, she says.
A shepherd, shepherd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shepherd.
Yeah,
that's good. A collie shepherd, is it?
That's a collie shepherd.
Okay,
exactly.
Brilliant. Okay, keep going.
They're lovely dogs, and they make great pets. And I love to tell people to go to the rescue centres and look for them, because remember, we have thousands of greyhound puppies born in this country every year, and in Britain indeed, for the greyhound racing industry.
Yeah.
And greyhounds are like racehorses. The good ones that are fast are valuable and have a long career, and it's impossible to predict how fast they're going to be. Even by their pedigrees, there's no guarantee which one is going to be fast or going to be slow. So there are a lot of slow ones who become available for rehoming, at a young age, and they do make lovely pets.
Okay, right, fair enough. And a follow-on just from Laura. Thanks for that, Laura, just correcting that it is a shepherd. Thank you. But she says, they're so good with my child since she was 4. But everybody seems to be afraid of them. She has a laughing emoji, says Laura. But was that just because they look aggressive?
They don't look aggressive, I think, and they tend to have a lovely gentle face, a gentle demeanour to them. But they're a big dog, and they have big teeth and a very long snout.
Right.
When they do bite, they can do damage.
Okay.
But having said that, because they have a narrower mouth than some of the restricted breeds, they would tend to do less damage when they bite than, say, a bull terrier, bulldog, German Shepherd, Rottweiler, any of these sort of dogs that are bigger and have a broader, stronger jaw. When they bite, they will do more damage.
Okay. Right, here's another message in from Christina. It's more an observation than anything else. She says, read the dogs and cats advise people to block up their letterboxes for the few hours, as sometimes on Halloween night people have a habit of throwing fireworks in through the letterboxes. Happened to me once, not a nice experience, but my dog and myself were upstairs, however unable to go downstairs till all the fireworks and sparks stopped, says Christina.
Yeah, that's dreadful.
Yeah, and that is
very sympathetic towards that. That's an awful frightening experience.
Yeah. And here's another one. Hi guys, I love the show. I have a Yorkshire Terrier who will not get groomed no matter what. We've had him sedated, knocked out, no joy. He can't be sedated as he nearly died before under sedation. Any suggestions?
Yeah, so the oral medications that we use for sedation for simpler forms of anxiety or stress, the trazodone gabapentin combination, you could put him on a 2 to 3 day course of those, and he'd be chilled out enough and calm enough going into the groomers or going into the vets for them to be able to manage to groom him with a muzzle on.
Okay, that's a very good bit of advice as well.
And he won't be sedated fully, you see. So there isn't the same risk as there would be with a general anaesthetic.
Okay. Hi Des, can you just recap on sedation, just a separate one coming in, for the day that's in it? Do we give him the medication tonight or tomorrow or a couple of times between now and Halloween?
A couple of times between now and Halloween is generally the best way to use that trazodone gabapentin combination or the natural products.
Right.
You give them.
It depends
for
how
a couple
bad
of days.
it is, really, with the dogs.
Now, I often have to just remind people, if an animal has already got an elevated heart rate and high blood cortisol levels from the stress of being upset, and they're on edge and they're highly vigilant, right, the medications honestly won't work properly.
Okay, Nicola was on. She says re-Halloween she finds that her cats prefer to be actually outside rather than inside come Halloween. I presume they just find somewhere and hide,
Somewhere and hide. Maybe she has a shed that they can go into outdoors.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. That suits them.
My wife Caroline was saying that last year. I was working, but I remember her saying that our cat wanted to actually go out rather than stay in.
Yeah.
Just he was more stressed inside, hearing it and not knowing what to do. He wasn't settling at all.
Cats, the curious psychology of cats are different from dogs. They're not pack animals. They're solitary. They're hunters. Their wild instinct and natural instinct is stronger and closer than it is in a dog. So a cat's instinct is probably that they know there's something stressful going on outside. They want to check it out and understand it and figure out how to deal with it on their own terms. And then hide somewhere where they know that if they need to have an exit, run away again, they can.
Yeah. Whereas
being indoors, there's that feeling that, hey, I don't know what's going on outside and I can't escape, I feel trapped.
Right, that makes sense as well. Hey, Des, want to trim my dachshund's nails. And what normally does a trim, or do you do them? Do people do them? The vets do them, or do the nurses do them?
Yes, so dog groomers would do nail clips, and our vet nurses would do nail clips, and the vets will too.
Okay.
Usually about €20 for a simple nail clip.
Okay.
Certain breeds of dogs, by the way, hate their nails being clipped.
Yes.
And dachshunds are one of them.
I can imagine.
Daxies and miniature dachshunds and beagles and bassets.
That's all those long sausage type dogs, isn't it?
I don't know why. They hate their nails being trimmed.
Right, okay.
And maybe it's to do with the shape of their paws and having to manipulate the toenail, puts a little bit of pressure on the toe. It's uncomfortable on their toe or even uncomfortable on their elbows because they have little short legs.
Yeah.
They don't like their legs and wrists being manipulated for the toes to be picked up, for the nails to be clipped, any of those breeds. So you have to start them at the nail clipping job young so they get used to it and they tolerate it. And if you've missed that window and you have a 2-year-old basset or a 2-year-old Daxi that hates having his nails trimmed, you may be in a scenario of needing to have him slightly sedated once or twice a year in order to have that done.
Right, and ironically enough, look, I mean, those type of dogs that you just mentioned, I always find they're the type of dogs that don't like to be left on their own either.
No,
Dachshunds. They don't.
Axes, and they have a loud, mournful, very sad bark. Where am I? I'm lost.
Howling type of thing.
Where am I? Don't like it.
Yeah.
And
they're a fabulous little dog as well.
I think, look at what's happened in the last couple of decades. We've domesticated our dogs to such an extent that they're very closely bonded to us.
Yes.
And they don't survive or manage on their own steam in the backyard like the dogs that we grew up with, you and I, when we were kids, John.
Yeah. Okay, keep your text or WhatsApps coming, 0833 97 97 97. Right, Des, 3 top tips for tomorrow night. Remember,
it's a bit like Christmas in terms of when there's a lot of party stuff going on at home with the kids. Be careful what's available and what's on the floor and what's there for the dog to eat. Foreign body obstructions and things getting stuck in the gut and tummy upsets from chewing gum and sweets and all kinds of things. That'll happen this week, the same as Christmas. Pumpkin and the likes is okay.
Yeah.
But chocolate and several nuts are not okay, like macadamia nuts and so on.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful in regards to food, same as Christmas time.
Okay.
Secondly, exercise the dog early in the day and have them indoors and put them to bed early. And thirdly, if you are worried that the stress is too much and your dog is going to be barky and upset the neighbourhood, talk to your vets today about what to do about it.
Okay, fair enough. Straightforward, simple enough. You've been warned about all these suggestions. You've been told about it. We're giving you the advice now over the last couple of weeks. So stick to it, get to it, and make sure you keep your animals safe for tomorrow night. We're not done just yet. 3 minutes left. So we're going to be talking for the next 3 minutes about XL bullies and the forms and the way to do this. It's on official documentation. You've brought them in. Tell us a little bit about this, Steph.
Yeah, good, John. Okay, so look, I wanted to put the details in place so that people understand what's involved, because there's been a lot of misinformation and a lot of emotive opposition to the new XL bully restrictions that have come in. There isn't an XL bully ban. If you own one of these larger dogs of a bully type, there's a restriction in place. Now, there are forms. How you get these forms and how you get an exemption and how you become legally compliant and have your dog as a family pet, as you should have. What you do is you ring Kildare County Council. If you're in the county of Kildare, you ask to be put through to the Environment Office, because the Environment Department manages the dog warden's affairs.
Okay.
So the dog warden's office is the go-to place, and the dog warden's office is under the Department of Environment and the Ministry of Environment, and they are based in Kildare County Council. They have the exemption form, which they will instruct you how to download off their website, or they will email it to you.
Right.
And it's an exemption form in 3 parts. The first part of it is an application form for a certificate of exemption to keep an XL bully type dog in Ireland. And you fill in your own details and you fill in the dog's date of birth, colour, sex, is it neutered, its microchip number, your dog licence number.
Yes.
You have to have a dog licence. And you write in the name and address of the vet. So that's the first form. Second part of that is a list of guidelines.
Okay.
They tell you the guidelines very, very simply, and there's 4 headings there. It tells you, how do you identify your dog as an XL bully type? Is he or isn't he one of those?
Yeah.
That's simple. Secondly, is he neutered? He has to be neutered. Thirdly, he has to be microchipped. Right. Fourthly, they tell you if and how and why they might refuse to exempt your dog.
Right,
to give you
okay.
the cert.
Okay.
So that's the simple second part of the form, right? The third part of the form is the veterinary confirmation of neutering. So all these have to be neutered.
Right.
That's the rule from now on, because remember, breeding of them is banned.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the vet has to fill in the confirmation, the certification that your dog is an XL bully and it is neutered.
What happens further down the road after kind of this cooling off period and it's officially in, and there is litters out there? Will they be euthanised automatically?
They will be... No, they won't be euthanised. They'll be cordoned off or supervised until they're old enough to neuter.
Okay.
And there will be I predict what's the word? A kind of a secondary exemption status put in place.
Okay, right. Okay, we'll worry about that further down the tracks.
It'll just mean that they're being supervised and neutered and controlled and registered and certified
Okay.
to a greater extent than they are now.
Okay, right, fair enough. Okay, done and dusted for this week. Thanks for that, Des. And by the way, be good out there with your animals. Make sure you get them in early and keep them well tucked away and close by your side. It's only for a few hours, but it'll be worth it in the long term, even for the mental health of your animal too. Des, thanks.
Thanks, John.
Cheers.
It's a pet's life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.